Welcome to the Athlete Insights Podcast, hosted by Yash Padhye, a podcast focused on letting athletes tell their journeys in their sport. This podcast is presented by Boxed Water. Boxed Water is better.
Welcome into another episode of the Athlete Insights Podcast, sponsored by Boxed Water. Boxed Water is better. Today I've got my guest, Christian Delacruz. He's an offensive lineman for Portland State University. So Christian, thank you for taking the time in and joining me to talk about your football career and kind of go through and kind of dissect your football journey.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Yeah, no worries. So starting off at the early years with your football career, what made you go with football and pursue football or fall in love with football versus, say, basketball or, in hockey or baseball or any other sport? What stood out to you about football?
I'd say I have three older brothers and two middle brothers. They both played football. So football has always been a part of my life ever since I was young. And I'd say the earliest memory I'd have is just being in the front yard. My brother had one of those football shields, like those ones that you punch. And he would just have me like running through it and tackling and stuff. And I was probably like 5 or 6 years old. So that's when I first got introduced. But growing up, I never had money to play tackle football.
Okay.
My parents didn't afford it. So I didn't start playing real organized football until I was a freshman in high school. So that was the first time I started playing football. And I started as a defensive lineman and fell in love with it from ever since.
What drew you to that offensive line, kind of going off that, or defensive line position versus, say, a tight end or other positions along the within football?
So watching football, you always see the skill position guys. You always see who has the ball.
Yeah.
Like quarterbacks, wide receivers, DBs, like the small skinny guys. But I was a pretty chubby kid coming out of middle school, so I had to play offensive line or defensive line. But I grew up watching Aaron Donald. He was one of my favorite players, so I wanted to play D line. But I didn't make the into offensive line until I had knee surgery my sophomore year. And I gained 40 pounds. I was 260. I ended up at 300 my junior year. So they told me, oh, you're too big to play D-line. You're too slow, so we'll move you to O-line. And I fell in love with it ever since.
Yeah, no. And I've worked in football from my undergrad at Ball State to Memphis to now here at Northern Colorado, where I'm at getting my doctorate. And so I've seen guys. One of my good friends at Ball State, his name's Danny Pinter. He transitioned from a tight end to an offensive lineman. So I've seen guys transition from a tight end. That's kind of why I was asking you. I was like, oh, did you consider tight end or any other position? Because I've seen guys, especially at that tight end position, transition into an offensive lineman or an offensive tackle type of role. But yeah, that's super, super cool. You've stuck with the line position and you've done a great job so far at that position and where you're at. And so you talked about you didn't start playing organized football until high school. So let's jump right into your high school career so far. Can you kind of expand on what your experience in high school playing football was like and kind of how that shaped you to where you've been today?
Yeah, so when I started my freshman year, I wasn't conditioned at all. I wasn't ready. My body wasn't ready for sports. So first time I actually did real team workouts was really tough. But I fell in love with football so fast. So I got through it. I played defensive line, won defensive MVP on my team for freshmen. So I played varsity at the end of the season. Sophomore year, I got hurt weightlifting and I tore my meniscus, so I missed that whole sophomore season.
Okay.
And then until junior year when I came back, that I thought I was going to come back, play defensive line, make plays at that end. But they told me, we need you at center, we need you at tackle, and we need you to block the big guys up front because you're too slow to chase a quarterback or a running back down. So I was like, all right, I got you guys. So junior was awesome. We were a lower division school in San Diego, so We kind of got overlooked a lot, but we played up to our competition. We played a lot of better schools, and we ended up winning a championship my junior year. My running back, he had 8 touchdowns in our championship game. He was a baller. He went to UCLA. He's now at Louisiana. We had some studs on that team. Blake Schmidt, Seabass Valdez. Shout out my guys.
Okay.
They're both defensive linemen at Montana State.
Yeah.
You saw how that game went. They're number 95. You saw how he was making plays. So
yeah.
yeah. So we had a pretty good team for the talent they considered us in our county. So yeah, we won a championship my junior year, and then senior year, we went 9-1. Went to the first round of playoffs, had a bye week. So actually, we went to the second round and we lost. So had a 9-1 season, got second round exit. So that's how pretty much my high school career went.
Yeah.
And yeah, played in some all-star games. I only had one Division II offer, one NAIA offer coming out of high school. So I decided to go to junior college after that.
And that's kind of before we kind of talk about your junior college experience and kind of the transition into D1 football when you made the transition to Northern Colorado. It seems from what you've told me is you're a very adaptable player. You know, they moved you from the defensive line to the offensive line. You adapted well to what you'd done. But what was the biggest challenge and hurdle that you had to go through when you made that transition into like being a center or being an offensive lineman versus coming from the defensive line?
A few things I'll say making that transition. One was obviously not getting as much shine or recognition as you would like getting a tackle or forcing a sack, forcing a fumble or batting a ball down or something like that. You're literally just blocking and trying to get your guys to score, which was pretty selfish of me thinking about it back at the time. But you know, you kind of like that shine, that recognition. But as long as my got to score behind me, that's what I live for. And that was probably one thing. And the second thing was learning how to play real offensive line play. Guys are running at you full speed instead of you getting a head start and getting at an advantage going towards them. So you're kind of, especially during pass protection when you're sitting back and you're waiting for a guy. So position, but everything else was pretty much smooth. My coaches helped me out a lot and was able to make that transition pretty smoothly. But my real great transition was after high school. When I went to junior college, I learned a lot more after that.
For sure. And you mentioned the recruiting process there a little bit out of high school. You said you had a D2 offer and an NAIA offer. Can you talk about those a little bit and kind of what led your decision making to go that JUCO route?
Yeah, so my first Division II offer came around December time of 2018 after the high school season. It was from Black University, and then my NAIA offer was from Waldorf University. And nothing against that type of that level of competition. It's a great level of competition, but I just felt like I could play higher. And seeing where some of the guys ended up on my team, it was really inspiring. So I wanted to shoot myself. My goal was to play up with them.
For sure.
So I decided to take the junior college route. I saw how successful it made a lot of people. So just took a leap of faith and decided to take that route, and pretty much ended up pretty smoothly.
And how was that junior college experience for you? If you could kind of talk about it a little bit more in detail, kind of how was that experience for you at the junior college level, and how well do you think that prepared you coming into the Division I level of college football within the Big Sky Conference now?
Yeah, JUCO was a huge developmental period for me. My offensive line coach, my freshman year, Coach Wilmisher, he was a offensive line guru back in San Diego. So I was training with them back in my junior and senior year, just doing offensive line work, and he was already the offensive line coach there. So it was a pretty decision to choose my junior college coming out of high school. And he's worked with so many guys that have moved past on and have done great things in football. So he was just a mind to learn under and soak a lot of knowledge and information from. He's very knowledgeable, and he's legit like an offensive line like sensei. Like if there was like a dojo for offensive line play, like he's the sensei, he's the guru right there. So he's taught a lot. In my freshman year, I learned a lot. But unfortunately, my freshman year, I was 340 pounds. I was working at Pizza Hut trying to make the money in junior college. So it was kind of rough. But that time, I learned a lot. And then 2020, I missed because of COVID year. But 2021, I played my sophomore season in JUCO, and that was when I really got to expand. I had to play left tackle. I played out of position because I was usually just an interior guy. But forcing myself to kind of step out of my comfort zone and learn another new position that was new to me. It really helped me learn all aspects of offensive line play. So junior college was really helped a lot, especially the speed of the game coming from high school. It's a huge jump, and I would say high school then junior college, then playing at UNC, playing Big Sky players. It was a gradual level change, but it's so far. So
hey folks, if you haven't heard, I've partnered with Boxed Water. Boxed water is better because it's made from 92% renewable material. It also comes in a variety of flavors such as grapefruit, cucumber, lemon, and their newest summer flavor, watermelon. So head on over to boxedwaterisbetter.com and grab some boxed water for yourself today. Now, let's get back to the episode. Like you said, you've been at all three, the high school level, JUCO, and the Division I level now at the Big Sky. Outside of speed, is there any other major differences or changes that you've seen at those three levels when you compare the three?
Yeah, so speed of the game was a huge aspect that I had to adjust to. It's a lot faster than high school going into junior college, but I touched on it earlier, but kind of cut out. But the mental side and the mental aspect that comes along, and the maturity aspect of moving up in level. In high school, you got a counselor and you got small classrooms and teachers know you personally, where you move up to college and professors have 1,000 kids they have to take care of and teach at the same time. So it's not personable. So you kind of have to really hold yourself accountable. And on the football side, mental and the maturity aspect as well. Not down on yourself when things get rough, holding yourself accountable.
For sure.
In order to help the team out whenever you got to do. It's a lot, and it's a big change. So
for sure. And how much of football, you just touched on it there, mental side of things as well, because a lot of people see football. I'm a big golfer. Like I golf, that's a passion of mine, and golf is like 90% mental. But being around football so much, I've come to realize when I first started, I was like, oh, there's a major physical aspect to football. I didn't realize how much of a mental game it would be. And so how much would you say, from your perspective, how much of football for you is mental versus the physicality of it?
Wow. Yeah, I would say the mental aspect is pretty much up there with the physical talent aspect, but I think even more, because like that corny saying goes, kind of hard work beats talent when talent doesn't beat hard work. So in the game, when you go through trials and tribulations, stuff isn't going your way. It's all about memory. What can you do the next play, instead of sitting down and thinking about it, because no one's a perfect player. Things are gonna go times. I'm pretty sure, golf perspective, you swing at 100 balls, at least one of them is going to be like, that one wasn't the best, but it's all about the next, right? So in football, it's the same exact way. It's about the prep. It's about the next play. It's okay, I could take this in. This is what I messed up on. This is what I'm going to do next time, but don't sit on it and your confidence, because you build confidence through repetition, and the more you go, the better you're going to get. So I would say that mental aspect is very important. You got to be very mentally tough to go through football. So it's very important. It's a huge aspect.
For sure. And now you spent 2022 here at Northern Colorado, and now you've transferred to Portland State. And so kind of want to get your perspective. I talked to Joe Golden, my previous couple episodes ago, about his experience in the transfer portal. I just wanted to get your perspective as like, how was the transfer portal? What was the experience like, and how was it different from, say, coming out of high school, and the recruiting process there? versus the transfer portal itself?
Yeah, so coming out of high school, I didn't really get the exposure that I needed. I honestly wasn't good enough to go at a high level that I wanted to play at either. So
Okay.
taking junior college first definitely helped.
Yeah.
And that first recruiting time, I got recruited out of my 2021 JUCO season. That first period of recruiting,
Yeah.
it was awesome. I've never experienced anything like that. Schools calling me and
Yeah.
talking to me time and getting me out on visits. So that was awesome. And then going through the transfer portal, I wasn't sure what was going to happen. It was really nerve wracking. I redshirted last season at UNC.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure how schools would see that. It was very nerve wracking, but taking another leap of faith and trusting in God it was a huge step. And I had to trust whatever happened, whatever He leading me to. And throughout the recruiting process, I was blessed enough to receive an offer from Portland State, receive a good amount of other FCS offers from great programs, Division II programs.
Yeah.
But ultimately, I got to stay in the Big Sky, and it's a huge opportunity. I'm looking forward to it. So this recruiting process, the second time around, it was definitely harder than coming to college. There's a lot more options for me.
Yeah.
But like I said, it was an amazing opportunity, and I'm at where I'm at now. So.
Yeah, and the Big Sky is like one of the stronger FCS conferences within the FCS. So it's great that you're able to stay in the Big Sky still compete and have the strong competition that this conference within the FCS offers. And so it's great that you've ended up in a place where feels like home. And that's the other thing with the transfer portal or wherever players end up, you want to make it feel like you're home, make it feel like you're comfortable wherever you're at. And it seems that Portland State and the offer you got from them, that you're comfortable and you feel like you're at home out there in Portland. And so kind of want to talk now about your goals and kind of your future. We talked about your early years here, talked about your high school career, kind of going your JUCO career into your time at UNC, your transfer portal and everything. But talk about your future. My fair assumption would be you would want to play. Your ultimate goal would be to play in the NFL.
Yeah,
be my fair assumption. So based off of that, when you look at the league currently, and you look at the structure of teams, I know you said Aaron Donald is somebody that you idolize. So I think I have a hint of where this answer might be going, but what NFL team do you think would be the best fit for you if you were right now in going and NFL teams called you up? What NFL team would be the best fit, do you think, for you?
Wow. Growing up in San Diego, I was a huge Chargers fan, watching Tomlinson, Julio Gates, Phillip Rivers, Antonio Cromartie, just some of the players that Vincent Jackson, UNC alum right there.
The alum, yeah.
Yeah, so just growing up watching those players, I love the San Diego Chargers, and now that they're in LA, I'd still love to be there. Seeing how the draft goes and how players get picked up in free agency, you could honestly end up anywhere. So I would be blessed enough to get picked by any team. It would be a huge blessing. I'm a part of it. So, but if I can choose personally, I would go to the Chargers.
Chargers? Okay. Yeah, that's interesting because I asked Joe Golden from the previous episodes, like I mentioned, I asked him a similar question. And he said he'd like to play for the Rams. So it'd be cool if we see two former UNC guys in LA battling it out against each other. That'd be an awesome sight to see there.
That'd be
so yeah. That would be cool to see kind of that process. But yeah, it'd be the Chargers. Yeah, they're great organization. You got Justin Herbert, one of the prominent premier quarterbacks in the league currently. I feel like, that'd be a good situation for you as well. I agree on that side of things. And so now, before we kind of hit the end of the podcast, I want to do a little rapid fire segment to kind of get to know you better and kind of get your opinions on Just some fun questions, and some rapid fire. So are you ready, Christian?
All right, for sure. I got you.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl for
Night
sure.
owl. Okay. Um, favorite favorite professional football. You already answered that one. The Chargers. Your favorite professional football team.
Hold
Yep.
up.
Yep. Are you more? Do you watch more YouTube or Netflix?
YouTube for sure. I grew up on YouTube, so.
YouTube. Okay. Staying on the theme of social media, are you more of an Instagrammer or are you more of on Twitter?
Oh, I would say Instagram. Yeah, Instagram.
Okay. And I know in season you guys have to eat a certain way, eat certain meals. You can't really cheat on stuff. But what's your favorite cheat meal on a day, on an off day, or during the off season? What's your favorite cheat meal there?
I would have to say carne asada fries, California burritos, any type of taco shop burrito.
Okay.
I told myself that I could eat Mexican food every day for the rest of my life. That's how much I love Mexican food, even though it's not good for me.
Yeah.
It's the best. It's the best. So
Yeah. Oh, here, toughest D lineman you faced so far in your career.
wow, I would say my second year of junior college, I'll never forget this. My second game ever at left tackle, I played against the defensive end, who was about 6'5", like 260. And
Okay.
he's already committed to the Cal, and he had like 5 Pac-12 like Mountain West offers. I forgot he had a bunch of Power 5 offers done. I was like,
Yeah.
this is only my second game ever at left tackle, and I'm playing against a guy that's committed to California already, and
Yeah.
his backup ended up at Kansas, and
Okay.
the 3 tech defensive lineman ended up at Arkansas. So I was like,
Okay.
yeah. So it was College of the Canyons. I'll never forget. We got blown out in that game,
Oh,
but it was great competition, and I'll never forget. Those are some good dudes I went against, but it helped me develop my game. So
wow. Most memorable block or moment that you've had in your career, whether it's high school, JUCO, throughout your career, what's the most memorable moment that you've had?
okay. So in game, I'd say I had I had a few pancakes. I had a good amount of pancakes in high school. Um, But there was one block where I'll never forget. It wasn't even about me. It was my running back my junior year. We were playing in the semifinals,
Yeah.
and I outside zone, and I pushed the DN out of the way, and
Mhm.
my shot straight behind me, and he hurdled one guy, span
Yeah.
around, and scored like a 70-yard touchdown. And I'll never forget seeing that moment. Just feeling good blocking in that moment was really good. And then in practice, I had my junior year. I had a crackback block on the linebacker, and you could hear like the sound of the pads like echo throughout the whole stadium because it was a practice. So
Yeah.
no fans, no stadium sounds or anything like that. So once I got up and I hit him, like it was pretty loud and it was awesome. And that was my one of my welcome to college moments. So
For sure.
those are two memorable blocks that I've had so far.
For sure. And you've worn a variety of brands. I know Under Armour, Nike, Adidas, a variety of brands. What's your favorite brand or go-to brand of apparel or shoes?
I would say Nike.
Nike.
Nike. I loved Under Armour being at
Yeah.
UNC.
Yeah.
All the equipment that they gave me.
Yeah.
But Nike just has so much more variety to choose from, and also they have more position specific equipment that gets down to like the nitty gritty detail of what specific position you play, and it's easier to use. So
Yeah. And now you're in Portland, which is very, very close to Nike headquarters over there in Oregon.
right
So
there, yeah, it's awesome.
so that's super nice. Okay. And then the last one here, best piece of advice you've received in your career.
Wow, best piece of advice. That's a tough one. I've learned so much from so many great inspirational people in my life that have played in the development of not only my football career but developing me as a person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But I'd say the best piece of advice that I've listened to personally, I was watching like a Denzel Washington motivational speech. I don't know if you remember, he was like at a commencement,
Okay.
but he was like, he said, if you want something that you've never had, you have to do something you've never done before. And I
That's
was like, wow,
yeah.
yeah. So you want to be great, you gotta sacrifice so much, and that's what I took out of it. So
Yeah.
now I'm apply that to my everyday life and see what I could do to be the best version of myself and see
Yeah.
where it takes.
No, and that's great. And, and I remember that speech, and he went on and said, a lot of people, why would you do like when he was asked about kind of, he doesn't, party, he doesn't do all this other stuff, and he kind of focuses on his career. And he said, why would I do something that everybody else is doing if I want a different outcome? So very related statements there. But yeah, that's a cool quote, cool piece of inspiration that you imparted there. So appreciate that.
Yeah,
Sharing
sure.
that and going through that. And so we kind of ended the rapid fire segment here with that advice question, because it's a good transition into, I want to turn that question onto you. If you were approached by any youth football players or players in high school that want to take their career to the next level or want to be where you're at currently, what kind of advice would you give them, and what kind of knowledge or what kind of inspiration would you provide the younger generation with?
Yeah, so I would say, uh, for me, if I was giving advice, I'd say trust God, trust the process.
Mm-hmm.
No, just know wherever He takes you, you're gonna be okay. You're gonna be all right at the end of the day. Whether it's still in football or whether He has big dreams and aspirations still pursued in football for you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, know He has everything great planned for you, and if you want to do something great, like I said in the quote from Denzel,
Yeah,
you want to do something, if you want to be something you've never been, you got to do something you've never done before. So
for sure.
you you got to learn what to sacrifice and what it takes to
Yeah,
get to the next. I wish I was told that earlier in my life. So
for sure.
um, a hint of knowledge, that a hint of a key that
Inspiration.
younger kids, yeah, that
Yeah,
I'll get them fired up. And
for sure. And specifically, if you were talking to offensive linemen, what skill or quality would you tell the younger generation of offensive linemen coming up that they would need to have to be successful at your college level and where you're at right now?
Yeah, so touching on it earlier, the mental aspect again.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to be mentally tough playing offensive line. Everything's not going to go your way.
Yeah,
Um, and having that aspect of teamwork, trusting the other four guys that are with you on the offensive line. Nothing works up front unless you have the other four guys all on the same page with you. So,
for sure.
I building that relationship with your offensive line, being able to trust one another, and having that family aspect is a huge key. And being mentally tough, like I said, you might give up a sack, and that might be the worst thing to you, but you got to move on to the next play. And
Mm-hmm.
it's really tough. And how can you take that and say, okay, I'm not going to do that again, but I'm not
Yeah,
going to linger. I would say those two things are pretty important as offensive line play.
for sure, for sure. And mental toughness, great advice for the offensive line and also in life as well. Wherever you go, you got to be mentally tough, mentally prepared for rejection, failure, whatever it may be. Like you said, it's going to happen. You just got to move on, and keep going, keep moving forward. So, Christian, that's all the time we have for this episode of the Athlete Insights podcast. You can follow. I'll have your Instagram and Twitter handle on the video, so when your viewers can follow you on Instagram and Twitter. Make sure you go follow them down below. Make sure you follow or you watch this episode as well as the other episodes we have on my YouTube page of the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and like this episode as well as the others that I've posted as well. But Christian, I want to thank you for taking the time to kind of again chop it up with me about your football career so far, and wish you the best of luck at Portland State and moving forward. Wish you the most success moving forward and at Portland State as well. But with that being said, we'll see you next time.